Welcome to the Stewed. You're sitting in the opposite chair today.
I know, this feels weird.
Yeah.
Usually I'm
Now
there.
you're in the hot seat.
I know. Now I feel like all of our vendors.
Yeah. Do you feel nervous?
A little bit.
You should be
It's
very,
mainly
you
because
should
Ken.
be very intimidated.
Ken makes me nervous.
Yeah, Ken, behind the scenes. All right, let's start off really easy. Introduce yourself. Tell us about, your education, what you did before My Home, and then we'll kind of get more into the product that we're working on now.
Okay, yeah. Gabe Chrisman. I'm the COO and co-founder of My Home. Before this, I was in restoration. I owned a company in restoration for about a little over 4 years, which has really kind of got our wheels spinning over the last 12 months on what is now My Home. I like to say we accidentally did customer validation.
Yeah.
Because we were talking to thousands of homeowners and working with small businesses in the home service area. And, when we were in these people's homes talking to them, because they were customers of our other company, the conversation centered around home maintenance. And we started to see a couple of things. We started to see, number one is people sometimes don't know who to call, when to call, and it can create a lot of big problems.
Yep.
And then if they do have these recurring services, like their lawn care, pest control, housekeeping, they were forced to pay them in different ways. So they were leaving checks on the mat, they were Venmoing, they were paying with cash, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a single platform to communicate and schedule, right? So the way I kind of started to look at it was businesses, especially home service ones, have a CRM to manage the relationships with their customers. It's how they schedule, it's how they collect from their customers. But the homeowner didn't have that. So they were just forced to communicate, pay, schedule in multiple different ways or whatever the business required.
Yeah.
So we started to think maybe there was an opportunity there to simplify that for the homeowner specifically. So we started creating a model that went after that. And then through that process, we determined it needed to be a marketplace because we also had to make sure that the homeowner could find not only their recurring, but they're also their non-recurring. So they could find their plumbers, their HVAC, their painters, those things that just pop up around the house all the time. So we wanted them to be able to find the highest quality vendors on the platform and then schedule, pay, communicate all from one spot. And then also make sure that platform maintained historical work, ultimately kind of creating the Carfax for your home.
Yeah.
So that's a long way to answer. That's where I was before this. That's where we were before this. Before all that, I was in the military. Graduated from West Point in 2014. I was an infantry officer. Did about 6 years, a little over 6 years. Normal career there, nothing crazy special, but did some time in Afghanistan and was an infantry guy, infantry platoon leader, and I finished my last year at Fort Jackson as a basic training company commander, which was a cool experience.
What's one similarity or like one thing that you took from either being a platoon leader or the company commander that you bring to My Home every day in terms of leadership?
In terms of leadership, I think a big thing in the military that I took was it was much easier to get people to do things that sucked if you were also doing them. So not being the manager or the boss or in the Army, the leader that was just kind of barking orders from, a comfy chair. If I'm asking people to put in early or late hours, then I'm certainly going to do the same thing. So I think that's like one of the things, but ultimately it's, try to create a culture and a climate where people aren't miserable.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people's workspaces are that nowadays. So I think that's like the biggest kind of carryover is whether or not the Army did it right, they at least tried to create some culture. I think, that was the biggest difference, I think, in a lot of other companies is the attempt to create culture. So that's one thing that I wanted to make sure we
Yeah, it's like a culture around being unified towards like a common goal.
Yeah, knowing what the goal is, and then just having, I guess, some clear, concise ways to get there, and then showing that you're also willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah,
was huge.
Yeah, awesome. So what in terms of culture, like what are some of the things? I mean, obviously you and I are both building the culture here. Just really honing in on, what works the best, what also is, easy for us, like that we actually genuinely believe in. So
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you're doing, that I'm doing, that we're doing together in order to build a culture at My Home?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty bad at that, to be honest. Like, I get in entrepreneur mode and problem solving mode, and culture tends to take a back seat for me. So I don't. I would say you actually handle most of that, which I think is what makes us a good like founding team, because my focus, wrongly, is usually about, it's just purely about the product, customer experience, and trying to make sure we're doing things the right way. And I kind of over obsess on some of that stuff. So I actually think that you handle some of the culture stuff, and I can see the value in it and know that we need to do it. But it's tough for me, if I'm the sole decision maker there, to emphasize and put time into that when I want to put time.
The balance
elsewhere.
is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it kind of comes down to, and that's why we work well together.
Yeah. Right.
So when you were kind of going back to like the original story, where My Home was born, what were some of like the really unique customer insights that you were seeing as you were talking to all these homeowners that really drove home like, oh wow, this is a fragmented ecosystem. We do need a new solution.
Yeah. So we did legitimate validation in 2023, where we did surveys with over 700 Nashville, Franklin, Brentwood homeowners, specifically targeting people with job titles that we thought would fall in to our customer set. We asked questions like, what's the most frustrating part of maintaining your home? How many home service vendors do you use on a regular basis? Things that were not leading towards, hey, do you like our product? It was way more about understanding what the problem is. And one of the questions we asked is, how many vendors do you use? On average, it was around 4 or 5 on a regular basis. The other ones were, how do you pay them? How do you communicate? Over 80% responded with cash or Venmo, check, that method. And then, similarly responded with via text or in-person communication. But when we asked what's the most frustrating aspect of dealing with the home service providers, over 85% responded with scheduling, paying, communicating, and the fragmentation of it all, and then not like the non kind of unified approach to handling all of them at once. So it was that, and it was just a never-ending problem to communicate, pay, schedule, deal with these vendors, because something's always popping up. And even with those ones that were reoccurring, they were forced to pay in different ways and communicate in different ways. So one thing that surprised us is price never popped up as an issue.
Yeah.
It does have a bit to do with who we think our customer probably is going to be. But ultimately, people were concerned with quality, convenience, and simplicity, and that's what we're offering with My Home.
Yeah, awesome. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you face on a daily basis as we develop this product and bring it to market?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of unknowns. We do as much validation as possible. We talk to customers. We're homeowners ourselves. We've seen it from the home service business side, so we know we're solving problems. But ultimately, we can create a great product and have a great marketing strategy, great branding, great people, and all that stuff. We're going to learn a lot when we're in market. So I think my biggest challenges right now is just being okay with operating under well-vetted assumptions, and being okay with an 80% solution, knowing that we're going to have to be quick on our feet and pivot in the areas we need to pivot in.
So we've already pivoted, how many times? A lot of
Countless.
times. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've learned in the past, either why we've pivoted or what caused us to pivot that we're avoiding now, so, we don't run into some of those similar issues?
Well, the original pivot was, we started with this problem set of people are annoyed at the inconvenience is kind of the basics of it.
Yeah.
So we said, why doesn't one company have one vehicle that goes out with, a 4 to 6 person crew? You've got your interior house cleaners, you've got the guys outside that will cut your grass and spray for pests, and you have one truck that comes to your house once a week and does all of the things you need done. And, I think that's still a good idea, and I think there's probably going to be companies that do stuff like that, but it doesn't scale, and it didn't meet what our goals were, which was to have a major impact in the home service industry, and it would have taken decades to do that, and it's very expensive to scale that. So we had that model, but we also knew that if we were going to manage that as a business, we would need to create our own CRM, because there was not a current CRM in the market that would have solved our needs.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, we got to create tech to this too. And then we started thinking, as businesses evolve, they'll want to use our tech. And then we thought we can still solve these problems with just the creation of some new tech for the homeowner. Yeah. So that's kind of like at a very, very high level how that we evolved from let's run services to let's run services, create our own tech, to let's run services for a small amount of time to then push to tech, and then said, why don't we just start with tech and try to do it that way.
What are some of your favorite features of what MyHome's providing in their initial launch in August?
Yeah, initial launch. Well, I love the for both the vendor and the homeowner. I love the matching process. So
yeah, talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, it really sucks to compare it to just dating apps, but it's honestly the easiest way to describe it. So if you look at Tinder and Hinge, Hinge solved what Tinder's issues were, which was it was one-sided, and one side of the relationship was going to get bombarded with messages and stuff like that. So what Hinge did is they basically built for women, and they said the only time you can receive a message is if you have matched with somebody. So you both have liked each other enough to say, yes, I'd like to talk to them, and then messaging becomes available. So Hinge did that, and it really, really took off. So if you think about our current competitors on the market, the way you use an Angie or a Thumbtack is you go in, you say, I want my lawn care cut every other week, and you answer probably 10 to 15 different questions.
Yep.
Your information, all personal information, your phone number, your email address, your address, your first and last name, everything goes to anywhere from 10 to 20 different vendors that service that job. So it would go to 10 to 20 different lawn care companies.
And they're all paying for that.
Yeah, and each one of those companies then gets charged for that lead. So if I'm a lawn care company, I just got charged $20, $30 for that lead. Now it's my job to call you, text you, email you as much as possible so I can try to close on the business.
Yeah.
So I'm not losing money here, but also I want the work. But for the homeowner, that's incredibly inconvenient and annoying.
Yeah, we've done that before. It's a hassle.
Yeah, now you've got 10 to 20 different companies that are calling you, emailing you, texting you, and you're still in the same spot. You still don't have a vendor to do the job.
And you don't have a quote.
You don't know how vetted they are. You don't know how quality they are. You don't know how much it's going to cost you. So what we've done is you, the homeowner, go on our platform. You type in, I want lawn care, I want it weekly, and you then post that job. When you post that job, it lands on the job board where every lawn care company that's on the platform can see that opportunity.
Yep.
The only thing they see is your first name, the zip code that you're in, and the estimated quote, the virtual quote, which we can provide based on your profile details, and when you would like it done.
Yeah, the description of the job, essentially.
Yeah, it's everything the vendor needs to make a decision.
Yeah.
At this point, no one's been charged anything. The vendor then sees that opportunity. They go, oh, this is right in my neck of the woods. I want this job. They hit offer, which is essentially them saying, I'm throwing my hat in the ring. They still haven't been charged anything.
Nope.
The homeowner then has a curated list of the highest quality vendors in their area that have not only seen the job, but have seen the price and said, yes, I want this. The homeowner then selects the company they want from that curated list. And what they see is a job card where they see the vendor's profile, the reviews, pictures, interviews like these.
The actual quote from the real vendor.
The availability, when they can service the job.
And they can message the vendor right there.
They can message right there, and that's the only time, because the vendor doesn't have your phone number, doesn't have your email address, he can't bombard you. So then and only then is the vendor charged. Homeowner then selects the vendor they want, they schedule it right there, go out, perform the work, pay through the platform, and they're done.
Yep.
So you can do that for all your recurring or your one-offs like an HVAC or a plumber.
Right.
So I think that's the most unique feature that we have right now. In the future, what that leads to is some AI integration to where we're going to make it even easier for the homeowner to maintain their home, because all they have to do is take a picture of whatever the situation is in their home. It automatically detects the issue, then post that job to the vendors that can fix that issue, and you can pay and schedule through the platform.
It's almost like hands-off maintenance.
Yeah, it's as easy as maintaining your home can possibly be is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. The things that excite me are pretty much exactly the same. I'm also really excited about the social aspect. Do you want to talk a little bit about that component?
Yeah, so another one of the things that we saw in our validation is we asked, what's the most important aspect of hiring a vendor that you need? 50% said they were trusted by a referral. So they were referred to you by a trusted source, whether that's a friend or what we even found was it can be a complete stranger as long as they've used them. So that's why people are using Nextdoor, not for like neighborhood chats, but more for, hey, do you have a good power washer?
Referrals.
Yeah, for a referral. And they're using Facebook groups. They're very rarely going to Google anymore, which I also think is an interesting note for home service companies to know that they probably shouldn't waste a ton of money on Google. But they're going to referrals. So we've tried to digitize what the referral process is and make it even easier to where you can essentially see which companies have been used, how they've been rated and referred, and then you can hire that company for that service directly from that referral. So think like a better Nextdoor where you have a little bit of that community aspect, but really the point of it is where you can see the highest rated vendors that your neighbor just used and you love the way their lawn looked, you can just go and hire directly from that referral.
Yeah.
So it's, again, trying to make it as easy as possible while also trying to meet our customers where they're at, which is they prefer to get a referral and a trusted source. We just want to make that even easier for them.
Yeah. What other features are very exciting too?
The big one that doesn't exist anywhere is kind of the Carfax for your home. So what we've done there is if you get any work done on our platform, it automatically stores it in your profile.
Yep.
Which is only meant for you. So it's not getting blasted out anywhere else. Can't be found anywhere else. But what that's meant to do is a couple things. Number one, convenience. You can't tell me how many times we've, especially at work, we've tried to match paint colors, and it's damn near impossible. So in this instance, let's say you get your house painted, all of that information on the paint style, type, color, finish, product, all that stuff is stored in your profile. So that way in 5 years when you have to patch a drywall because there's a hole in the drywall, you know exactly what color paint it was and there's no guessing.
Yeah.
And then, the other side of that is it stores all the preventative maintenance work that you do. So it has, your filters were changed on this date last year, you should probably change your filters again. Your water heater was flush. And what that does is it really eliminates a lot of the risk to these insurance companies. Because what we've seen in restoration is a lot of these very expensive losses in homes comes from the lack of preventative maintenance. So the lack of getting your water heater flushed, the lack of making sure your appliances are running properly, the lack of changing your air filters. So if we have that stored in information that you can easily show to your insurance company, our goal there is to reduce their risk of a loss, which saves them money, and can hopefully in the future reduce your premiums as a homeowner because we're showing, and you as the homeowner are showing, that you're taking care of your property and you're trying to reduce the opportunity or the possibility for a loss to happen that otherwise the insurance company would have to pay for.
Yeah, definitely. And then also in the future too, once that data is aggregated for that home, it can almost be kept with that property. So if the property is sold, right, do you want to talk a little bit about that feature?
Yeah, the goal there would be, obviously I think it's important for the homeowner to choose because, homes and cars are different. It's a lot more personal with homes. But we have had a lot of customers that take pride in how well they take care of their home, and they want to pass that along to the next owner. And there's not really currently anything that lives with actually the property. So the goal there would be you could have historical work on a home that you bought, and you would know that the owner before the last owner and then before the last owner, you would know the maintenance they did on that property.
Yeah. Last time the roof was inspected and maybe even the results of that, just to have more fidelity into maybe some of the problems that the home has seen in the past, or the work that has been done, if the crawl space is encapsulated, little things like that.
It's going to save a ton of money on appliances. It has the opportunity to kind of change the home inspection market. If we already know what we're getting into, do we need to pay $500 to get something inspected? I don't know. The details and the historical work and maintenance of the property can live on with the property and not necessarily with the homeowner.
Yeah. Do you want to just quickly just talk a little bit about go-to-market strategy? Who are we targeting right now? What kind of homeowners do we really truly want on our platform?
Yeah,
how's this thing going to get huge?
Yeah. So I think the first important thing to talk about there is the vendors that we have on. So we pride ourselves on being the highest quality vendors. So we have an invite-only approach to getting our vendors on, because they have to meet a pretty strict vetting process to where they have to have insurance, they have to have experience, they have to have licenses. We hope to get to the part where they have to have a 4.5 star rating on Google. But our goal there is we want to eliminate all of the vetting work that you're being forced to do right now, ultimately saving you time and adding convenience to your life. So that's number one. Our strategy and our go-to-market is we don't exist for the guy on the weekends that does handyman work.
Yeah.
That's not what we are.
Gig
work. Yeah, we're not gig work. If you don't have a license and you're not certified to do the work you're going to do, you can't be on the platform. I think that's where a lot of these businesses and platforms get in trouble, and that's why they've got a bad stigma. Part of that, the reason why I bring that up in the go-to-market conversation is because the home services industry has a bunch of major brand players that own a ton of markets and a ton of different industries. So, for example, Neighborly Company. A lot of people don't know who they are, but Neighborly is a home service brand that is a huge brand, and they own around 25 different home service franchises. So everything from Mr. Handyman to Mr. Electric. They own a cleaning company, I believe, maybe a pressure washing company. Their specialty is home services. They've got a great brand, great reputation. They've got a lot of money behind them, which helps with the overall quality of their services. So we've really partnered with those companies here locally for our launch in Nashville. So that way, as we begin to scale in other cities, we can utilize their networks and their sister companies to immediately get really, really highly vetted, highly qualified vendors on our platform.
They can speak on behalf of how much value we've provided.
Right, and we can trust their brand too. I mean, it's a two-way street. It's like we've provided all this value to them, but also now we know that the Mr. Handyman here in Nashville is awesome, and he's recommending the Austin Mr. Handyman to us because that's where we're expanding to next. We can trust that brand. We can trust the quality of that. So not to say we don't love local non-franchise businesses, because we absolutely do.
Definitely.
But they just have to meet the same vetting requirements that everybody else does. So that's a major part of our go-to-market. The other major part is, how do we get as many one-to-minis as possible? And a really good approach for us there is real estate agents. For a couple reasons. Number one is they have access to the homeowners that are moving in that don't have pre-established relationships, and they're looking for a place to find these highly trusted, highly qualified vendors. So
they
can
stick with them for the reoccurring.
So that situation looks like, I'm moving from Chicago into Nashville. I've got a realtor here in Nashville. I go, hey, do you know any lawn care providers? And the realtor just says, hey, just download the MyHome app. They have the strictest vetting process for vendors. They've got the highest quality people here. You can find anything you need, whether that's setting up your recurring services because you just moved here, or when you need a junk removal because you've got a ton of trash after your move, or you need to repaint, or you want to do some remodeling because you want to make it your home. You can find all of that on our platform. So it's a really, really good opportunity for us to find users that need and enjoy our product. And then the other side to that is it's a little bit selfish for the realtors, which is good for us and ultimately good for the homeowner too. It's the homeowner, when they move to a place, they've established a relationship with one person. It's usually the realtor first. So that realtor just naturally becomes the person they call for everything. Questions like, hey, do you know a plumber? Hey, do you know an electrician? Who cuts your grass?
They're looking for those referrals. Trusted.
Right. And, we don't want to take that touch point from the realtor. We want to make that touch point a little bit easier for them and shift some liability off of them, to where they can say, yep, you can find our favorite guys on the MyHome platform. So that's another major part of our go-to-market strategy, is partnering with real estate agents that want to provide additional value to their homeowners and to their clients, because I think that the real estate market's kind of begging for that right now. They need to provide value more now than ever. So we're excited about helping out realtors and providing that value with our platform.
That's very exciting. I mean, there's a lot to be done in that space for sure. Okay, what about just like one final, this is my home, like one sentence, like what's like the grabber there? Can you describe what we do in one quick, like concise?
Yeah, that's really tough. I usually go with we're digitizing how you maintain your home. And then that can lead to a lot of different ways down there. But
all the features that we talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what we're trying to do is make how you maintain your home as easy, simple, and convenient as possible.
Yeah.
And that means solving a couple of those issues like the payments, the communication, the scheduling, the trust, the quality, the vetting, all that stuff we've done for you, and it's our job to make sure you know that and make sure that you're finding what you need on the platform.
Yeah.
So digitizing how you maintain your home is what we're trying to do.
Perfect. And launching in Nashville in August.
Launching in Nashville in August, and then expanded from there.
Yeah. Check out all of our socials. We are on all of them.
Yep.
And it's most of the time My Home platform.
Yep.
Give us a
MyHome's
follow.
platform, yeah.
I mean, on all of them, they have the link for the waitlist. So
yeah, join the waitlist. What the waitlist is important for us. Selfishly, we want to be able to send you a direct email. It's the only time you're going to get an email from us with instructions on how to download, when to download, and we're also giving away some discounts and stuff like that at launch. So if you're interested in that, then you click any of the links or just DM us on any of the platforms to sign up for the waitlist.
yeah, perfect. Awesome.